Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is Michael Garza. It's been a while since I've done a live show where it's just me doing a show. Hold on, I realized I may not put all my... Okay, hold on. Pulling myself a coconut water here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna I'll stick with the coconut water. Ooh, welcome to the show, everybody. It's good to be back. I did a live last night, yesterday night, with we did a Magic the Gathering session, which was pretty cool. Pretty fun, I got to admit. But it's good to see everybody here on the show. Welcome. So we're going to talk about high yield savings accounts versus bond ETFs. Now, we're kind of jumping a little bit to a different topic today. Oh, crap. My biological stepson is at it again. This kid is pissing me off with his antics, all right? He's getting into the baby oil. He's doing a lot of dumb shit, all right? So we got to get the fella on track, all right? We got to get the man on track. He's not on track, everybody. But welcome to the show, you guys. So, but yeah, my biological stepson's in the chat saying, "Dad, can I go into the out now basement?" Oh, the basement's flooded. Yeah, okay. Look, Tyler, just I don't want you to drown, so get out of there. But moment that basement's not flooded anymore, back down you go. Anyway. Oh boy. See the things I got to deal with, you guys. The things I got to deal with. It's not easy running an empire. This is a pretty shitty empire, to be honest. That's okay. That is okay. Let's keep watching. Let's keep rolling. So I want to show my peanut. No. I'm going to show some of the live chat real quick, and we're going to get on with the show. Try not to show my wiener. I'm going to tell people, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will love you, and we will love you for doing it. Thought about doing a poll, but no poll. Don't feel like doing a poll right now. Just gonna get the chat window open, let everybody see who's chatting, and oh. Oh shit. There we go. See, that wasn't so hard now, was it? So let's put the live chats up here, and we'll keep going anyway. So we got the live chats up. Sorry that took so long, folks. But yeah, overall with high yield savings accounts, pretty simple. We all, here on this channel, we don't think that high yield savings accounts should be the permanent place to put the majority of your money. And what do I mean by this? So it's good to have a high yield savings account, because at least if you're going to have some cash sitting to the side, you want to get some sort of guaranteed yield on it without losing the principal. So I do understand the nature of high yield savings accounts. However, I'm not actually the biggest fan of them. I love bond ETFs, though. Bond ETFs are pretty sexy, and I don't think they get enough love, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Bond ETFs are great because you can really just expose yourself to a. One moment. You can expose yourself to a wide range of Woo, that was a cold rush. But you can expose yourself to a wide variety of different bond sectors. Really, there's not too many different types of bonds out there. There's like municipal bonds, government bonds, corporate bonds, and I can't think of the other ones. I know there's other types of bonds, but bonds are good to have in the portfolio because it's basically a loan, right? You are literally loaning money when you're buying bonds. And in a lot of ways, you're acting kind of like a bank to some degree. And me personally, I prefer bond ETFs because I can get in and out of those at any time pretty easily. An ETF is an exchange-traded fund. In this instance, it's an exchange-traded fund that holds on to a bunch of bonds, to a whole boatload of them. So I'm surprised more people are not bond-focused when it comes to alternative assets. Now, they're not... Here's the thing about bonds. They're not inflation-proof by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, if there's one thing that pisses me off about bonds overall, is how non-inflation proof they are. Now, are they a safe haven? For the most part, yeah. I mean, you get a virtually guaranteed yield. I'm not saying there is risk involved, by the way, in bonds, but not as much as you would think. You are missing out on upside, though. Without going too much into the weeds, here's the thing. Bonds, the principal doesn't go up very much. The yields are whatever the yields may be, right? So bonds are actually good to have in your portfolio because during bear markets, the yields that you can get from bonds, the payouts you can get from bonds, can really help fund the portfolio you have in order to purchase more stocks during the bear market. Now, preferably, I prefer dollar cost averaging, if we're going to be honest, when it comes to investing, but it's good to have sources of income. Now, you're probably wondering, well, which one do you have, Mike? Do you have bond ETFs or do you have a high yield savings account? Well, I have both. So I actually do have a high yield savings account that I use for my cash reserves. Just basically, it's just a guaranteed yield while the principal remains the same. Now, I'm not a big fan of it. Overall, I prefer to have I prefer to trade most of my money away for stocks. Diversified portfolio of stocks. That's about it. That's my main focus. But at the same time, I also understand the importance of having capital available at all times. And capital, it's not easy to touch. So the great thing about savings accounts is there's no real excuse to touch the money, right? Unless you desperately need it. Maybe there is a bear market that comes up and you need a quick $2,000 and you don't want to borrow that money. That makes sense to me. That really does. So in that instant, you just keep the money to the side, you do your thing, and blah, 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 right? Yeah, overall, that's a smart way to do it. But any questions, by the way? Any questions from the chat? I am always more than happy to try to answer your guys' questions to the best of my ability. Oh, just gotta stretch out. But yeah, surprisingly, nobody's got any questions. Obviously, there's like 2 people freaking on this specific live video. But yeah, my philosophy is super uber simple. Invest what you can as much as possible. Um, and do your thing. I will say the one thing is MSNBC and all those fucking channels, they make investing seem so impossible, and it's not. Investing is pretty damn easy at the end of the day. Ultra Fire says, "Yo, Big Daddy, what up, Ultra Fire? My G Dog, my sexy man. You're all my sexy men, by the way. Just to let you know, you're all very sexy." But yeah, overall, I mean, high yield savings accounts, the one that I use is, I'm not going to say which one specifically, but 3.6% APY. It's an annual yield. I use it just because if I need the cash, and my maximum that I'm going to put in there is really just $10,000. I haven't met that mark because I'm too busy investing. But like I said, I like to have the capital on standby, so occasionally I do like to throw the money into the savings account. Now, like I said, it's a 3.6%. It's just it's not a certificate of deposit or anything, but Ultra Fire says I'm currently in a CD at 4.1%. Heck yeah, I'm not a big fan of certificate of deposits. If we're going to be quite honest, I understand that they exist. And hey, US Bank's a good bank. I like US Bank, but their savings accounts suck. Now, I see why you have a certificate of deposit, especially if you don't, if you don't plan on touching the money for about a year or so. There's an advantage to that. I mean, really, there's an advantage to that. So it's not the worst. It's not the worst case scenario. But yeah, US Bank's nice, man. I love US Bank. So I'll tell you why I don't like certificate of deposit. Because if I hold too much money in one of those, right, it's not as liquid. I don't like that. To me, I don't think it's liquid. I could be wrong though. I've never actually put money into a certificate of deposit. But my main thing is, high yield savings accounts that have no minimum balance is what I'm looking for. But yeah, I mean, certificate of deposit is a good one. But if you're looking to have something where you can access the money when you need it, like for instance, if I need to, let's say for example, I have to buy a high ticket item for $1,500 with a credit card, right? But I don't want to have to pay all the interest to slowly pay off that card. Well, what I could do is I could pull from the high yield savings account. It would take about 1 to 3 days to put that money from the savings account to the checking account, but at least I'd have it in a shorter amount of time than having it in a certificate of deposit. See, that's for me. Savings accounts really for me are just a way for me to access money if I truly need it, so I don't go into credit card debt. I would rather hold on to money in a savings account at a 3.6% yield annually than hold on to credit card debt that's like 25 to 30% interest rates. That's brutal. I'd rather just keep the money in a high yield savings account until I need it. But yeah, it's better when you can't touch the money, at least not quickly. You know what I mean? I can't just instantly debit it or pull it out. I have to transfer it from the savings all the way to the checking, and they're both in separate banks, by the way. This is a strategic way I do it. So the way I do it to make my life even tougher on purpose is I do keep the majority of the money in the high yield savings account with the one bank, and then I transfer it over to the checking account to the other bank if I need it. It just depends on if I need it. And it's on an as-needed basis. Now, that's the thing. I use credit cards to pay for everything, but I don't hold credit card balances. This is a very important thing people need to realize. And Caleb Hammer, which I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he is fun to watch, he does harp on this. It's better sometimes to just pay off all your credit card balances quickly, because what's the point of holding any money in a savings account when you are being are wrapped, I'm going to say wrapped, by the interest rates of the credit card. You don't want that. You don't want to be hurt by those interest rates of the credit card. You want to screw that. No, hell no. So you want to make sure that the only reason you keep a savings account is if you need to pay for high ticket price items where you have to pay interest on the credit card that you're used to purchase that item. You know what I mean? It just makes things a little easier. Surprisingly, Tesla fully recovered. Lol. Says Ultra Fire. Hell yeah. Surprisingly, yeah. So I'm surprised. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised that Tesla stock fully recovered. Tesla's not exactly a bad company. They are still a little overvalued, but I think Elon, for the most part, is trying to pull the company in a decent direction. All of their marketing budget is through Elon Musk, just being a crazy man, and I love it. I'm a big fan of it. I like Elon. I know there's a lot of people who don't like Elon, but the dude's a visionary. So Snoop Plus One says they have that thing at work where I can put a percentage of my wage in an RSP, and they match it up to 4% of my annual salary. That's not bad. It's actually kind of cool. That's a good price match, man. Oh yeah. But back to your certificate of deposit, Ultrafire. For me personally, 4.1% is a good yield, by the way, especially if you know that you don't really need the money that you put into the certificate of deposit. If you know that you're not going to need it anytime soon, yeah, let it ride. Let it ride out on that. But overall, man, pretty neat, man. Pretty neat. Oh. But yeah, so I choose, like I said, I choose the 3.6% annual yield through the savings account that I go through. And it's actually the savings account that I go through is also through is the same company that I go through for. I can't speak today. Hold on, let me think about what I'm trying to say. The high yield savings account I use is through the same bank as the credit card, as one of the credit cards I use on a day-to-day basis, mainly for gas. So yeah, it's really smart. I think the smartest thing I could do is keep my savings account and my checking account in two separate banks. Now I do have a savings account with the bank that I have that has a checking account, but the savings account is trash and it gives you 0% interest. Basically, it's virtually zero. It's bullcrap. It's a ripoff. So the savings account that I go through on my main bank that I use for my checking account, screw that. I chose a high yield savings account that has a no minimum balance, that doesn't require a minimum balance on purpose, because maybe I don't want to have all my money in there. Maybe I want to eventually change it out. You know what I mean? Even though I like this yield, 3.6% is great, and it fluctuates. Obviously, it depends on what the Federal Reserve does. They may lower interest rates, they may raise them. You name it, things happen. We'll see. And either way, I look at it like this: yield is yield. I'm going to keep investing in stocks. That's my main shtick. I invest into ETFs. I'm very diversified. I primarily, not only do I invest in ETFs, I also just invest in individual stock. If the company's good, the company's good. I want it in my portfolio. But I am a collector of ETFs. I'm a collector of stocks. Specifically ETFs that give me exposure to commodities, bonds, and stocks. That's my thing. I love commodities. I love stocks. Bonds are actually one of my least favorite. I do like the guaranteed yield, mostly guaranteed yield. A bond is never a full guarantee, by the way, but it's pretty close. I mean, like for instance, if you have corporate bonds and a company goes bankrupt, the people who hold the bonds get paid first. Stockholders usually end up with nothing, by the way. So there's actually more risk to being a stockholder than there is as a bondholder. However, if you are a owner of stock, if you're diversified, you're usually pretty good. So if you're diversified across all asset classes, not all asset classes, sorry. If you're diversified across the securities, oh my God, I cannot speak today. If you're diversified across securities, you're on the right track. Does that make sense? So even though there's risk in owning securities, there's more risk no matter what in owning securities than bonds. But I think it's good to be exposed to both. I don't think you should be evenly exposed. I still think stocks are better because they're productive assets, whereas bonds give you a guaranteed yield, but they don't protect you against inflation. So there's a catch-22 in all of it. But that's where diversification comes in. It's a protection against the ignorance of the future. I don't know how the future is going to play out. In fact, I can spot good companies a mile away, and usually I pile up on those bad boys. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I am diversified up the arse. All right? Boom. Boom. Shakalaka. All right? Let's see. Snoop says, "Don't you have to pay taxes on the yield from savings accounts? That's how it works in Canada." Yeah, it's interest. It's technically, I think, a capital gains tax. Yeah, it's capital gains is so whenever I get issued a dividend, for instance, with my stocks, I have to pay tax on the dividend. Any interest I accrue from my high yield savings account, I obviously have to pay some sort of a percentage of tax on that accrual. So if I get $1 in interest, obviously the government taxes whatever they tax on that particular capital gain. But they only tax that one. So like, for instance, in this scenario, let's say I got $10 in interest, right? The government would only tax the $10 in interest on that one. They wouldn't tax the initial principal. If that makes sense. So I don't know. I prefer the reason I prefer high yield savings accounts when it comes to liquidity of money. So I'm a little bit weird. I'm kind of on both ends of the spectrum here. I love bond ETFs because you actually get real exposure to bonds, even if you have to own an exchange traded fund to get that exposure. But at the same time, I love high yield savings accounts because it's very liquid. It's very easy for me to get my money out. They are FDIC insured, and if you get into the right ones, you could still get a pretty high yield without the risk of principal fluctuation. There's no principal fluctuation, which is nice. There is yield fluctuation in the interest payments, but that happens. It's just that's the name of the game. But the whole thing is you should always be invested in stocks, bonds, and commodities. That's not financial advice. Read my disclaimer, but it's a way of life for me. That's the way I see it. Let's see. Ultrafire says, "I don't see how the Fed is going to lower interest rates with the current state of inflation. And how is the price of oil down 7% today with the possibility of Hormuz fundamentals mean crap?" Yeah, I don't really know if we're the Strait of Hormuz. So here's the thing with that closure, I actually have no clue how that's going to work. Gas prices may go up pretty high, obviously, because the price of oil per barrel is going to probably skyrocket, But we also may be getting oil from other locations. It's we don't just get our oil from the Middle East. We do get some oil, if I remember right, from Russia, and I even believe Canada somehow. So it all just depends. It all depends. But yeah, that's the way I look at it, at least. Snoop plus one says, wasn't U.S. going to produce again? Well, I say drill, baby, drill, man. And I also believe in green energy solutions as well. I believe that you can have both. I believe you can have the green energy solutions and the fossil fuel. I do believe it's a good idea to try to reduce fossil fuel dependency. Absolutely. Absolutely. I say green energy all the way, man. I'm all for it. And there are advances being made every single day in solar technology. But yeah, the sun is really the key. Harnessing the power of the sun is the key. Let's see. What's a good move for a business owner? I don't know, man. To be honest, I mean, I run my YouTube channel like a business, but honestly, like, and I run my investment portfolio like a hedge fund as if it were a business to some degree. Look, I can't really, I'm not experienced at running a full out business. Can you give me more insight though? I can't see your username on here, but you're asking me what is a good move for a business owner. And my curiosity is this: what sort of business are you running? You know, because truth be told, I'm just a one-man operation, right? I don't have any employees except for AI. Um, so I would not know what a good move would. I mean, technically, sell and make profits. You know, I guess okay. Here's the thing. What's a good move for a business? So, are you looking to start a business? Do you have an existing business already? Like, okay, so you're saying like, hold on, let's see. Like operate as a handyman company okay, that would be an independent contractor then. So if you're just a one-man operation, you could, if you want to remove yourself from liabilities, sorry, hold on. You could find a way to LLC, limited liability corporation. You could create it like, oh, I don't know. Even though you're a sole proprietor, you could make it to where your liability goes away if you do an LLC or something. Because if you're a handyman and maybe you mess up on something, you don't, it'd be better for them to sue the business, to sue the limited liability corporation than sue you. Because if that makes sense. Now I don't know how I don't know how the booking goes for that. If I'm going to be quite fair with you, see, I don't know much about LLCs. In fact, I should do some research into it because if I became an LLC expert, I could at least do I mean, there are services that offer LLCs for cheap. Actually, let's look at the internet. Fuck, the internet's right here. Hold on. How do I turn my business into an LLC easily? Okay, look at this. This is great. Look at this. This is cool. So there's zenbusiness.com, Oregon LLC formation made easy, $0. File your Oregon LLC. To easily turn your business into an LLC, you'll need to formally register your business as a limited liability company with your state. This involves choosing a name, designating a registered agent, filing articles of organization, and potentially creating an operating agreement. You may also need to obtain an EIN from the IRS and update your business licenses and bank accounts. There's a video out there that explains how to set up an LLC in 10 minutes. That's kind of cool. I might actually link that to you guys. It's from Central Media. Oh, it's that one dude. He's pretty interesting. But yeah, there's a little breakdown, like, choose the business name, select a unique name for your LLC and ensure it's available in your state. Appoint a registered agent. This individual entity will receive official legal and government communications on behalf of your LLC. File articles of organization. This document, often called certificate of formation, in some states officially. Yeah, I mean, honestly, so here's what I did. Honestly, I looked up how do I turn my business into an LLC easily. And yeah, that might be one step. And if there's something better than an LLC, then go for that. I don't know. I can't really give any obviously I can't give any advice at all. I can give my opinion, but you should definitely consult, I don't know, a lawyer or somebody way more suited than I am, because I don't know jack about this. So even though I run my YouTube channel like a business, even I have a lot of things legally covered at least, but LLCs I don't know shit about. Um, but yeah, overall, pretty much my media business is just a one-man operation where I just do my show. It's not even really a formal business by any stretch. It's just me. I'm really just a sole proprietor, if we're going to be honest. I'm not even a real company. RealGarza.com is just a sole proprietorship. I don't know if you could register as a sole proprietor, though. Well, here's the thing, man. I don't know which is better. You may need to look this up a little further. Here's the deal, man. If you are the only person, like you don't have any employees, it's just you who does the work, you may need to consider, I don't know, sole proprietorship. I don't know if that's better, because I think LLCs are for well, I guess you could be a one-man business. It's tough, dude. I really don't have the answers, but I would do research into sole proprietorship or LLC shit. I think LLC may be the way to go, but also I could be wrong. Sole proprietorship, if you're the only one doing it, could be the other better route. I don't know. So make sure you talk to whoever you need to talk to, and don't listen to my advice on that. There may be a better way. There may be something I'm not aware of beyond LLC, beyond sole proprietorship. I have no clue. I'm a bit of a dummy, but I do know a few things here and there. So Snoop Plus One says, besides banks and money, do you have any physical investments? Oh, well, I have stocks. They're liquid investments for the most part. I've got tons of stocks, tons of bonds, and I've got commodity ETFs as well. But yeah, overall, just mainly stocks are my primary assets. I do have a car, but that's more of a depreciating asset. See, stocks are great because they are an appreciating one. They do appreciate over time, which is really cool. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of just buy and hold, man. Buy and hold breaks the mold, dude. It's the way to go. I can't think of doing it any other way. But yeah, high yield savings accounts. If we're gonna go back to the original, hold on. Let's not go back to the original. I want to keep talking to the chat. I need to know what the chat is thinking. By the way, hey, you guys, real quick, before we go on any further, press the like button. Also, I'm an Amazon associate, so any sort of affiliate links that you click in the description below, I get a commission. It helps support the channel. It's no extra cost to you, by the way, no extra cost. But it helps support the channel. In fact, I upgraded my description. So if you check out the description of this video, you can see all the things that I own, all the different items that I use on a day-to-day basis, from my watch to my shoes to my phone. You can be more like me, which is not a good thing. Actually, if you want to be more like me, check it out. Anyway, these are the products I use every day in my kitchen, in my bathroom. Check it out. It's very fun. It's very disturbing. Let's see. So this is a quote from this nameless channel. I can't actually see their name on here. They are saying, so where should I put my savings to earn more? It depends. Look, this is where it gets a little bit into the weeds, because I'm not a financial advisor. I just want to make that very clear. Talk to a financial advisor, preferably. If you can't afford one and I'm your only hope, I'm not a financial advisor. That's all I'm going to say. But I can give you my opinion. I can let you know what I would do. So let's see. If you're looking to preserve your wealth, I think a diversified portfolio of stocks is where it's at, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But if you're looking to have cash on the side that you can easily access, a high yield savings account's one that you should consider. Some examples of high yield savings accounts that I think are great. Capital One has a high yield. American Express is a high yield. Citibank, and that CIT Bank, has a high yield one. Betterment has a cash reserve program. They've got a pretty high yield, but I would prefer, my preferred ones would be Capital One and American Express for the high yield savings accounts, just because I trust that they'll be around. You know, even though they're all FDIC insured, I just prefer those overall. Let's see. Hold on, Johnny Blaze. I did skip Johnny Blaze. Lol, you say you have yourself protected legally and then admit you did nothing legally. Dude, LLC or S Corp or Corp can be a one-man business. Come on, hey, look, I don't know this shit, dude. Johnny Blaze, I don't know this shit, brother. That's why I'm not giving any advice on it. I don't give advice, to be honest. But no, overall, it's up to you. But I do legally protect myself in the sense that I do have a lot of like claims that, like, you know, anything you read here, anything you hear me say in the videos is fiction or falsehood, bullshit like that. So read it and weep. But yeah, not financial advice for any of this. Just honestly, you know, look, I didn't know an LLC could be a one-man operation. Hell if I know. Anyway, Tim Smith says MSTE lowered their distribution for June to 60 cents, down from 66 cents due to MicroStrategy's reduced volatility. Still at 49% yield, though. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Tim Smith in the house, by the way. My boy. I do like that you're into the covered call stuff, though. It is pretty neat. And I like that these things are partially covered calls and are not full out covered call ETFs, which is kind of neat. So stay diversified. That's one of my best things I could say. Let's see. Snoop one. Oh, hold on. Damn, my neck is killing me. Hold on. Oh. Snoop plus one says I meant more like gold, silver, collectibles, etc. I mean, look at gold. Gold is nice. I like gold. I like silver. Collectibles, I think, are worthless for the most part. Collectibles come and go. I think what matters is what actually has true utility and what, you know what I mean? What is actually valuable? Here's the thing. Whenever I want to find something valuable, I don't look at the market price of it. I look at what it is. I look at what it does, right? So if I'm looking at Coca-Cola, I don't really give a shit what the market values it at right now. I want to know what do I value it at based on their financial statements. That's more important to me. Is it actually valuable or not? That's the question. The market may say it is, but is it? So Bitcoin, is it actually valuable? No. But does the market say it's valuable? Sadly, yes. Gold is valuable. It has utility. It is valuable. Yes. Does the market say it's valuable? Yes. 2 yeses sound good to me. Collectibles, like I said, come and go. Collectibles are all based on perceptual value, right? Gold and silver are based on perception. Obviously, there's always perception and value, but there is also utility value. So gold and silver have utility. They have a little bit of rarity. They can be used. They're sought after for good reason. So it just depends on what is sought after and what actually, you know, what does what. Let's see. Tiny Evan 8 in my bio. Why you skip my question or comment, dude, man? Johnny Blaze, can you calm your tits? Can you calm your boobs? No, but overall, when it comes down to it, I mean, like, I'm a sole proprietorship, so it's like I've never found any real reason to have an LLC. You know what I mean? There's no reason to. I'm just a lonely YouTuber. So even though I do have the Real Garza brand, it's just I don't actually sell any real products. I just, I mean, I do like to promote products to some degree. Don't get me wrong. I do love doing the Amazon Associate stuff, but like, I don't actually, I have all my P's and Q's covered with, liability documents and stuff, and all the liabilities off me, which is nice. So when the liability goes away, which is cool. Yeah, overall, I think, hold on, let's see here. I can't really think of how I want to finish that one, but either way, Johnny Blaze was freaking out. He was in all caps. So Nick Cage, I'm sorry. Sorry, Johnny Blaze. Oh, wait, no, that's Johnny Blaze from Fantastic Four. Never mind. I was thinking of Ghost Rider. What the hell? Anyway, Tim Smith says developing American brews crush the competition at Olympics of beer. World Championship, California, Oregon, and Washington brewers earned most medals among 8,375 entries from 37 countries. Wow. Wow, we really do make good beer. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy for loving the Seven Devils brews, but no. That's wild to me. Dude, honestly, you know what I realized? That the most leftist states in the world make the best beer, right? They make the best IPAs. The cuckiest of the cucks make the best IPAs. For example, in Oregon, we have a lot of men who wear tight pants but have very full beards, but they're very effeminate, right? And they're really good at making beer, though. These guys are just good at making beer. They're good at figuring it out, man. So I will say, even though the politics of the left coast is crazy, the beer is good. No, the beer's crazy, but it's crazy good. And I'll take those liberal hops, even though they're filled with resentment towards my boy Trump. I'll take that groundswell. Anally. You're welcome. Anyway. Sorry, a little bit of theatrics. You know me. Sorry, folks. I was checking my phone real quick. Anyway, let's keep going with this. Let's keep rolling. All right. So that's crazy. Yeah, my tight jean brethren, they know how to make a good IPA. Hell yeah. Woo. Go Oregon, dude. Oregon, we killed like 35 countries with our great beer. We did it, man. We did it. Oh man. That's a good one. So Tim Smith says Oregon beers have become so enriched. Trump may. I'm not going to say that on North Bend. I'm just going to let you guys read that out because I don't know. YouTube loves to ban me sometimes. So I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you guys read that though on the screen. That's what Tim said. That's funny, man. Some funny shit, brother. No. No. Hey, you guys, like I said, make sure you guys, quick, I'm going to give a quick disclaimer real quick. One of these days. All right, hey you guys, quick shout out. Check all the cool affiliate links in the description, and also as an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. This means if you click on a link in the description and make a purchase, I may receive a small commission and no extra cost to you. So feel free to check out those cool affiliate links. It helps support the channel in a lot of ways, but you may be able to find a cool product on Amazon that you'll prefer, that you'll love to hold and think about my boy Jeff Bezos. I love Jeff Bezos, by the way. He's the man. Anyway, so Tim Smith is saying, hold on. So hold on. Snoop plus one says apparently the ceasefire was broken already. Holy shit. Good. I'm glad they were able to break the ceasefire, and it seems that Trump has brought peace to the Middle East for now. Tim Smith says, should I go to sleep? Is asking, should I go to sleep and go to work tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. or should I work from home? You make the call, chat. Oh. Wait, is work giving you the option? You get to choose? You know what? Let's put a poll out. I'm starting a poll. Hold on. Give me a second. Putting out the poll here real quick. One second, folks. 1 second. Technical difficulties here. Should Tim Smith go to the office or work from home tomorrow? Work from home? Office. Okay, so I have three answers to this one question. Should Tim Smith go to the office or work from home tomorrow? This is the question that we were all wanting. All right, so we got one vote so far. Should Tim Smith go to the office or work from home tomorrow? So we got three options. We got work from home, which 0% have chosen so far. We got the office, 50% of you have chosen that. And 50% have chosen naked at Starbucks with laptop. I like this. I like where this is going. I shouldn't, but I like it. Okay, let's see. Tim Smith says, if I don't go in tomorrow, then I need to go in Friday. Got it. So you do have, there's like a mandatory throughout the week. You do have to be in the office like maybe 2 days out of the week, if I remember right. I think you told me about this before, but I kind of forgot a little bit. But yeah, hell yeah. Snoop plus one says depends on the type of gig. Hard for me to be a mechanic from home. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people chatting. Love this. Tim Smith says I do Thai massage. Wait, are you the Thai woman? Or wait, hold on. Are you the Thai woman masseuse at the massage parlor? Giving the happy endings, Tim, is that what you're doing? Oh my god. Oh, I know what Tim's second career is. Hey, you got to give happy endings somehow, man. Just kidding. Hey, let's take a look at the poll real quick. All right. So, should Tim Smith go to the office or work from home tomorrow? That's the question we all have. It's a split even. 33% say work from home. 33% say go to the office. 33% say naked at Starbucks with a laptop. So if you can imagine, instead, I don't think Tim actually works the laptop. I think, well, maybe he does. I don't know if it's a desktop computer or laptop computer, but let's imagine he uses a laptop. Let's imagine Tim goes down to Starbucks, butt-ass naked, puts the laptop on his junk, to cover himself, obviously, and starts working away, doing whatever he has to do on the computer. Sounds like a good deal to me. Starbucks baristas down there in Canada get to see Tim, to see the whole thing, get to see him put in that work, right? So I don't know. So it's a winning combo, right? It's a winning combo. Let's see. Tim Smith says, I did one so good last week. I got a call from the X Games offering to make it a demonstration sport. Oh, no. Oh man, that's funny shit, dude. See, Tim makes this show way better. I'll tell you, man, Tim, because I was a little tired before I was doing this because I was working on all these links and stuff, getting all these links set up. By the way, you guys, I really just gotta heckle you guys. So, like I was saying, as an Amazon associate, I do earn from qualifying purchases, but there are really cool links that help support the channel if you buy something from those links, something that interests you that I happen to own. It's something you could be like me. You can wear the same shoes. Maybe not the same style exactly, but the same type of shoe as I wear. You know what I mean? So there's links for everything in there. It's really, really cool, and I want to try to encourage you guys to check it out if you can. Like I said, it helps support the channel in more ways than you guys could ever imagine. Just whatever you guys can do, man. No extra cost to you, by the way. I get a small commission, no extra cost to you. So it's pretty dope. And I like to encourage it when I can, because this show, while we make okay money through advertising, I like selling stuff to people. So I like making small commissions. I'm a commissions kind of guy. Deep down, I'm a salesman at heart. But I mean, I'm all sorts of things, really. I'm a jack of all trades, but I love selling things to people. I love hooking people up with items that I use every day. So check out the description, you guys. Every single link in there is one of my affiliate links. It's pretty dope, and helps support the channel. Helps. Maybe you guys will find a cool product that I happen to consume 24/7. All right, so that's so crazy. But yeah, overall, let's get back to the topic at hand. So, does anybody have any questions about, I don't know. I think we kind of covered a lot of the bases, because here's the thing with a high yield savings account, it's more of, being able to access that money quickly. You may not get the best yield ultimately, because you get better yields, in my opinion, from bond ETFs if you play your cards right, if you get into the right bond ETFs that expose you to the higher yields and stuff. But there can be some risks. In a lot of ways, there can be some risks. So not as many though. Bonds are nice. I mean, most of the time, like a lot of those banks that do the high yield savings accounts are either loaning out that money to, people on their credit cards, or, they're simply just, what's the word? What's the term? Or they're just putting it into treasury bonds or something like that. Just depends on what the Federal Reserve interest rate is at the moment. So savings accounts are good because the principal doesn't fluctuate, which is kind of a really nice safe haven for people. So the principal doesn't fluctuate, and it is FDIC insured, along with the fact that you do get a guaranteed yield for whatever the yield happens to be. So it's a plus. If you're just looking to have your money sitting for a bit and you want to collect a little bit of yield off of that sitting money, sure, it's a good idea. Tim Smith says you should react to Tim Dillon pitching a predatory loan to Yanis Papeas. All right, I'll react to a video real quick. Why not? Give me a second though, real quick. There's something I need to do real quick, you guys. Hold on. All right, sorry about that, folks. I had to make a quick modification to the video. All right, well, let's take a look. We'll react to a video here real quick. So, request from my boy Tim Smith in the house, all the way from Canada. It's give me 1 second, you guys. Okay, I've actually seen this before, but it's been a long time since I've seen this, and I know, oh my god, I love this video. By the way, you guys are going to love this. This is, thank you, Tim Smith, for pitching this brilliant fucking video, because this is brilliant, by the way. Holy crap, man. This is a great video. Oh, I can't wait to watch this. It's been a while since I watched this, but this is a good one. Okay, so this is Tim Dillon pitching a predatory loan to Yanis Papeas. This is a fun one, and I hope you all enjoy my reaction. Let's start now.
Let's go back. You're a mortgage broker in Long Island. I meet you in a diner, which is you call your office.
The Imperial Diner in Freeport.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, you go.
We got to make it real.
Yeah.
So it's the Imperial Diner in Freeport on Merrick Road.
Yeah, you say meet me at the office, and I hear you hang up.
We'll spill hot coffee on you by mistake and look at you and go.
Yeah. And when you tell me to meet you at your office, I hear the clang of a payphone when you hang up.
Yeah.
And so I meet you at your office. I come in. I say, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you, Mr. Dillon. Me and my wife just got married. I'm a comedian. I saved up about $80K. She wants to live. We're having a baby. She wants to live on the island. You got
Mr. Pop, I'm very glad.
Can I get a loan?
Not only can you get a loan, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
How much of that $80K are you prepared to spend on the property?
I don't.
Dude, this is oh my god. His ability. I will give Tim Dillon this. He gives off the sleazy salesman vibe by default. I swear to god, that's like his default setting, and it's brilliant. He was made for this sort of shit. And he knew it was bullshit. Okay, let's just keep going.
No, Mr. Dillon, I'm a pretty conservative guy. I saved every single dollar from my more recent shows.
How much are you prepared to spend?
Hold on, let me go into Maurice's brain for a second.
No. Of that $80,000, how much would you like to spend? Are you willing to spend all of it?
I'm willing to spend about 60 or 70 of it.
Mr. Pappas, guess how much of that 80 you're gonna have to spend?
How much?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
There's the hook. See, he gives him the hook. He's like, well, how much are you willing to spend? And then he's trying to get an honest answer out of him, right? And then once he hears what the honest answer is out of Giannis on this one, he then pitches something that will make the dopamines in his brain go off, right? Because he has $80,000. He's only prepared to maybe spend 60 to 70,000 of this. What Tim is going to do is brilliant right here, because he asked the question first. Now he's going to give him an answer that he wants to hear. And then Giannis he's going to hear, no, you don't spend a single dime of that 80,000. And there's the attention grabber. You ask a question and then you give a good offer, an offer that they won't want to refuse. They're like, oh, you're saying this $80,000, I don't have to spend it? Okay. You had me at hello. Let's keep going.
I'm not going to spend anything. Because let me explain something to you. Sit down. The wife is lovely. Would you like a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah. Wait, can
Mr. Pappas.
Can I get pancakes while I'm here?
Yeah, you can get anything. The bricks and sticks of your house.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed that he's basically lounging while doing this. The man is so good at doing this, he almost can do it in his sleep. He's even kind of looks a little glazed out. The fact that he's able to do this so well, like he's just... Tim Dillon is a freak at how good he is at selling shit. Like, that's one of the reasons I love his podcast. He sold this podcast because he's just, first off, he's just funny. But he offers really interesting insight while being entertaining as shit. I love it.
Appreciate. The frame, the land, they appreciate and value. You know what your money does in your house for you, Mr. Pappas? It does absolutely nothing. You know what the wealthiest people do with real estate, Mr. Pappas? A lot of them finance it. Why? Because your mortgage is your only tax write-off. It is the only write-off. It is your only fucking weapon against the federal government.
You had me there. That's a good one. Fuck. It's a tax write-off. Not only do I not have to spend any of my money, do I have to pay my mortgage payments? Obviously. But I'm getting a loan. Tim's selling me on this one. Go on. I know the loan is predatory, but damn. If Tim Dillon's selling it to me, I might just take it anyway.
The larger the loan you take, the better it is for you financially. And you take that $80,000, and I'm not wrong, by the way, and you put, well, I'm a little, and you put it in tax-exempt securities like Roth IRAs. Mr. Pappas, you maximize the amount of tax-exempt retirement accounts that you put your money in with that $80,000. You make it work for you. You do not sink it into a house. Yes or yes? So the reality is this. We're taking the biggest loan possible. That, Mr. Pappas, will set you free. Now sign this piece of paper for Christ. And at that point, you and your wife are crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we sign papers, and you go die.
But how do you get the loan from the bank? They're giving them away.
Back in the day, what are we doing? We're talking about now or back in the day?
No, back in the day.
Yeah, how
Back
did
in
you
the
do
day,
it?
I go to the bank. I said, Kelly, we got one. And Kelly, I said, Mr. Pappas and his wife Brittany's from Long Island. They want to go buy a piece of marble hunk of shit. And Kelly has got Coke running down her nose from last night. She's got a fucking double tall non-fat latte from Starbucks non-fat. She's not kidding anyone. And she nails it down and she says, she makes all the paperwork look like it should look. And then my little shitty bank, which was called Franklin First or New World Mortgage or the Mortgage Zone or the Funding Hut or whatever it is, we send our paper to a fucking even bigger and as similarly shitty bank like a Long Beach Mortgage or a New Century Mortgage or an Argent.
I need a second. Okay. And this is the way it was back in the day, like the 07, 08, even 06, that sort of thing. Pre-2008 crash. Predatory loans up the ass. Up the butt, man, until there was a ton of regulation on it. But yeah. Anything you could do to secure that mortgage, the sale of that mortgage is... Tim Dillon sold me. And I know it's a scam. I feel like I could buy anything from this guy. That's the one thing about Tim Dillon, man, that I love so much is he's just so charismatic, man. I could buy anything from this man right here. This man right here, I could buy anything from. Damn. Let's watch the rest of this. I just Kelly's got coke running down her nose from last night. Oh shit, dude. And it's funny, he's going through these little shitty credit unions, and he just, you know, he somehow secures all these loans from all these people. It's just, I don't know how he pulls it off. I didn't know how he did it. The game has changed, obviously. I don't know how sleazy the business is still, but it's crazy.
And those banks were doing backdoor deals with J.P. Morgan, Citigroup. So those banks were underwriting the paper to the middle grade banks that were lending money to the dirtbag brokerage operating out of a van places that I worked. Okay?
Right.
So when this all, you ever played a game of hot potato?
Yeah, it's an orgy. Yeah.
So when everything goes wrong,
You pass it around.
we're passing it around. And
Yeah.
then by the time you sign your mortgage, by the time you get your first bill, because the other benefit, Mr. Pop, is you don't pay for 2 months.
Right.
For 2 months, you don't pay.
But
That's
are you
true.
sure I'm going to be able to afford this mortgage? My stand-up comedy career is up and down.
Mr. Pappas, I have watched your stuff. I think you're a genius.
There's nothing to sell somebody like flattery. Nothing that'll sell somebody more like flattery. It is a good sales technique. Not gonna lie. That is brilliant. Like, he's like, I don't know, my stand-up career is up and down. It's like, I've seen it. Just love it, dude. This is great.
Thank you.
And I think you're an absolute genius. And I will tell you this right now. All you have to worry about right now is what are you going to do with
I'm
those
just a little worried. I'm not past the cellar. Am I going to have a future?
You're going to have a cellar in the home that we put you in. All you have to worry about, Mr. Pop, is what are you going to do with those 2 free months? Because we're rolling it into the mortgage. You've got 60 days. I would take a little vacation with this lovely lady.
Are you serious?
2
Because I was concerned I even had...
Oh my. Oh man, it's so funny the amount of perks that they put into these mortgages to make it seem like a better deal than it actually is. I will admit that was the one thing about a lot of these predatory mortgage loans. They'd be like, "Oh, you won't have to pay for the first 2 months," and sure, that is actually a cool perk. But at the same time, like, you know, what were the interest rates? Like, was it variable interest? Was it fixed rate? I don't know. Pretty funny though.
had enough for the mortgage before this.
2 free months.
What?
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
you're saying free. Am I going to have to pay at some point for this down the line?
We're rolling it into the mortgage, which again, we talked about, it just increases your tax deduction. If you could, Mr. Pappas, you'd take a loan every day.
Honey, do you I mean, I just...
Every day you would take a loan because the federal government is coming to take your hard-earned money. I am telling you, your ability to fight them is contingent on how big this mortgage is. Take all your credit card debt, all your car loans, everything, student loans, roll it into this, refinance it. Let's take $100,000, $200,000. Let's do it. Let's make it big.
And
let's do it once and do it right. That's a
Tim sold me. He sold me on this shit. God, he's so good. So flippin' good. It's insane. It is insane how good Tim Dillon is at selling things. The guy is a mastermind genius, dude. Like, out of anybody I've ever seen.
great line. That's the line one of our guys had. Let's do it once and do it right. And then he'd call them back 8 months later, and they'd go, "You said we were going to do it once and do it right." He goes, "Let's do it twice and do it better." But that's what we need. That's the only way the economy's get. Like, you guys can laugh at that. That's the only way the economy is going to get.
On a bubble. On a just,
Retards
you need criminals back.
have to sell things to other retards.
But we're doing...
We ain't around no...
That was Tim Dillon pitching a predatory loan to Giannis Papas. And my God. And here is Jim Cramer shilling Kava as a long-term growth play. I mean, I might buy a share of Kava. Why not? Let's see. We don't... yeah? I don't know. How long has Kava been on the market now that I think about it? I don't even know what Kava is. Is this some liberal BS? I don't know. Yeah, it looks kind of good. That looks like healthy food for looking at that little thumbnail. of Jim Cramer. Oh no, I don't want CNBC to be a total prick to me. Well, anyway, let's let me get back. Let's get back to the show. First off, that was an the one thing I'll say about Tim Dillon, it always impresses me with that guy. He's just so funny. Like I listen to his shit and it's just it's filled with so much beautiful sarcasm, so much like he's only pessimistic on bullshit, right? So he's not like he's not pessimistic about everything in the world, but he can call out the bullshit better than anybody, but do it in a funny way where it makes him seem like he agrees with the bullshit. And he does it so well. He does it so well. His level of trolling is at a level. It's just an amazing level. I love it. I get so into watching him. He's so funny. I love you, Tim Dillon. You're the man. Love you, Tim Smith, for actually resurfacing that incredible video, by the way, because it's been a while since I watched that one. I remember the first time I watched it, I was in stitches. I was like, dude, you gotta be, this is a great fake scenario. I love it. But no, actually, that was stuff he did all the time. Tim Dillon, I guess, was total predatory mortgage loan shark. So Tim Smith says Cava Grill is a Mediterranean fast casual restaurant chain with locations across the United States. I'll have to check that out. Maybe so I wonder if they're public. Let me see. Is Cava a publicly? I don't know if I want to invest in Cava if Jim Cramer's recommending it though. I don't trust anything that Jim Cramer recommends. Well, kind of. Hold on, let's see. How long have they? They've only been a publicly traded company since 2023. They've grown 80% in the last 5 years. What are their earnings like? Their earnings are pretty good. They're not like in negative earnings or anything. It looks like their PE ratio is... They're pretty overvalued, though. They're 62 times price over earnings. I mean... Now they're clearly making money, but my question is are they worth it? Now, if it was a lower cost per share, and look, I don't always judge by cost per share, but I do judge by also mainly market capitalization and also the general PE ratio is the first thing I glance at. I still like to look at the actual financials though. What are their actual earnings? That sort of thing. I don't really give, revenue's good, but I want to know what the cost of operation of the business is. I need to know, like, does it actually have profits after everything is paid for? That sort of thing. Profits matter, So if it's not profitable, if there ain't no cash flow, just say no. It does appear like there is cash flow, though. My question is, though, how far will it grow? Oh, good Lord. I just found out that Reddit is a publicly traded... When did this... Okay, I guess I remember seeing that. I can't believe Reddit is a publicly traded company. That makes me sad. That makes me really sad. Reddit sucks. Man, Simon Property Group is growing like crazy, though. Freaking A, man. It's a good company. Yeah, I own a lot of real estate investment trusts, just so you all know. I'm a freak, man. I ended up purchasing quite a few extra real estate investment trusts. I also ended up adding to my portfolio some international ETFs because I figure I was looking at my international exposure to like international stocks and everything, and I was like, I really don't have a very good my risk isn't spread out to international enough. You know what I mean? I needed to be a little more spread out to the international companies. So that was a big deal to me. Tim Smith says you should check out Tim Dillon Howie about this guy he worked with at the mortgage office. I'm kind of curious. All right, I'll look up another Tim Dillon one. Let me load it up real quick. Tim Dillon Howie.
One of the glimpses into insanity that I got, and I got a lot of them, and I've probably given many people some of them.
I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I'm going to speed it to 1.25, just so that way it's quicker.
But one of the glimpses of insanity I got that I take with me, and I found to have a lot of value, comedically and otherwise, was a man named Howard. We called him Howie. Howie used to work in mortgages with me, and Howie was a small man. He was short, diminutive in stature, but he was very loud. And he talked with his hands like this.
Oh, there's a video version? Okay, let me actually look up the... Oh, here we go, Howie.
One of the glimpses into insanity that I got.
Yeah, here
I
we
got
go.
A lot of them. And I've probably given many people some of them. But one of the glimpses of insanity I got that I take with me, and I found to have a lot of value, comedically and otherwise, was a man named Howard. We called him Howie. Howie used to work in mortgages with me, and Howie was a small man. He was short, diminutive in stature, but he was very loud. And he talked with his hands like this. And he was who you would cast in a movie like Boiler Room. He was who you would cast in a movie like The Big Short. He was exactly the person that you imagined would occupy that type of space. He drove a BMW truck. He lived in a condo.
Oh, my God.
Not a great part of Long Island. But
I've known a few people like this. Buy really expensive things. They don't have the money to afford it, but they still get the loans to get these expensive things. I've met plenty of people like this Howie guy. But I'm curious. Let's take a look here.
By the water. And he made no money at the office because he was a horrible salesman. He made the majority of his money selling cocaine. And the cocaine was not good. It was very bad cocaine. It was so bad you would do it and go, "Is this cocaine?"
That's pretty funny. Damn, dude. Poor Howie. Oh, that's pretty bad. Let's keep going.
That's how bad his cocaine was. But he believed in his head that he was the greatest salesman of all time. And the only other job he had before he worked at our company was he worked at a company on Wall Street that was famously, basically, it was a currency trading firm that was essentially just the bank accounts of the Russian mob. And it was, and it was legit in terms of that there was a lot of people making a lot of money, but it was also a complete and total fraud. He comes out of that company and he landed in Long Island with me. And I thought this guy was very funny because he was insane. I always loved people that the facts were irrelevant, were completely irrelevant. Like he didn't sell any mortgages and he didn't make any money from our company. But yet he would still walk around the office as if he was the CFO. Like he was the CEO. Like the guy didn't care that he wasn't. And he would say that he wasn't making money because the company sucked. Like everybody.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Oh. I can say that I've met a few people like that in my time. I will say, even if the company does suck, you should find a way to become better at what you're doing. You know what I mean? I've seen plenty of great salesmen at shitty companies. I'm just going to say that right now. There should always be a way to get better. Obviously, you're not going to learn anything good from the company about selling, so sometimes you have to, learn outside of the company and figure out better techniques, especially if the company's sales protocols are a little archaic. You know what I mean? So, anyway, keep going.
Everybody else was making money. People were making $30,000 a month. I wasn't making that, but there were people making a lot of money. And I was like a young guy. I was like 22 or 21, and maybe even younger. And Howie was just this character that liked me immediately because I spoke well and I was good on the phone. You could put me on the phone with a client. But I would listen to Howie, and the bosses would tell me, they go, "Don't say anything Howie says. He's a bad salesman, and we probably shouldn't even have him here."
That is the even the bosses were like, dude, this guy sucks. Oh man, that's great.
because he doesn't care. But it was the facts were irrelevant to him. They didn't matter because he had a condo and he had a Beamer, and people were like, I think his parents paid for it. And people were like, I think he sells Coke to make that money. And people were like, yeah, but the Coke's horrible. Who's buying that? We're like, good point. So nobody knew how he had any of this money, but he didn't even have that much money, but he had enough. His friends had money. People liked to keep him around because he was crazy. I mean, he would, the company we worked for was called Franklin First. And he would call people up on the phone and say things that were so unbelievably untrue, provably untrue, baseless, that people would be like, I mean, he would call up people and you'd go, hi, this is Howie from Franklin First, you know, Ben Franklin. And they'd go, what? People didn't even know.
It's so terrible. This is Howie from Franklin First. Ben Franklin? The jokes. Oh, jeez. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad, dude. This is funny though. This is. Oh yeah, I've met quite a few delusional people like this in my time, especially people who when I used to work in the office at the call center. Even though it's all work from home now, it's just like, oh man, there were people at the call center, like some of our leads, who would buy expensive shit because they happened to be in management position, but like they weren't getting paid. They were getting paid a good amount, but they weren't getting paid, like, for instance, like Hummer money or anything like that. Like, it's just they were buying these expensive things. I'm like, okay, who knows how long this job will last? You know, you should never like bank on it. The funny thing is, the company, I still work for the company. Oddly enough, it just never really. Whew. Anyway, I go on and on about that, but yeah, I just knew better than to buy expensive shit. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should first off try to preserve your wealth. So the moment you make money, you should try to find every way you can to preserve and grow the wealth, right? So even if you can't grow the wealth, at least find ways to preserve it. And hold on, I take that back. I should say at least preserve it to the point of matching up with inflation, right? So that's a big deal. Anyway, let's keep going.
People would be like, did Ben Franklin start the bank? He'd go, he was involved.
He was involved. No. Oh my God, you just make up shit on the spot. That's so funny. That is so funny, dude. I can't believe that. Oh, I can't believe that. I've met people like Howie, total bullshitters. And look, they got confidence. I will admit, I give them props. Even if their confidence is based on arrogance and zero intelligence, they are confident. So to some degree, they can kind of leap without looking.
I mean, he said once, he's like, I'm standing in the stock exchange right now in an office overlooking the stock exchange. No, nobody even knew if that was possible. We're like, are there even offices on the second floor of the... But he was calling people in like the middle of the country who had like modular homes. Like he was just... I remember once he was trying to...
God, you don't want to lie. And a lot of people can sense bullshit. So the reason I could already tell why Howie was a terrible salesman, because he made up bullshit, and people would be like, okay, we're not buying anything from this loser because he's not authentic. Authenticity sells better than trying to impress. Like, if you're authentic and you're impressive, that's awesome. But if you are being fake in the attempt to try to impress, that's not impressive at all. Everybody sees through that. So guys like Howie, you see him all the time. They try to overcompensate for some degree. If Howie was just probably an honest person, just being like, hey, this just seems like something that I think you'd be interested in, based on some of the data we have. Or maybe ask a few questions, instead of just, I don't know. The best way to do it is ask the customer questions. Try to understand what their needs are and see if the products or services you have fit their needs. It's so simple.
Do a deal with this woman who had a modular home, which is essentially like a double wide on a foundation. And he had like the file, and he walked to the secretary's office. He goes, what the fuck is the problem? That's the way you. That's the way he used to talk to our secretary, Kelly, who was just a drunk, smoked Marlboro Reds, and she was like, she goes, lower your voice. Who the fuck are you talking like that? He goes, what the fuck is the problem? He goes, I can't close a deal in this goddamn place. And Kelly goes, the woman who told you it's a modular, she goes, it's actually a double wide. So we can't do a double wide. And she'd throw the deal back at him. So then Howie get on the phone with the woman and he'd go, hey, apparently it's a double wide. Is this true? Woman goes, no, it's a modular. And then Howie would like cover the phone and scream at the secretary, go, it's a fucking. And by the way, total commission on this maybe $1,200, right? Maybe $1,200. But he's screaming. He's screaming. He's trying to cover the phone. And he goes, it's a fucking modular. I told you that. And then he get back on the phone with the woman, and the woman's like, you know, I'm looking at some of the papers, and I don't have the certified modular paper. And then Howie goes, well, then it's a fucking double wide. And Howie goes, we don't do double wide. You're wasting my fucking time. And then he'd slam the phone down. And then he'd just walk out, and he'd start going like this with his hands. He would just start, screaming, and then he'd just walk out of the office. He goes, nobody has any fucking money. And everyone was making money. Everybody had, but it was funny. People thought it was funny. It was like a good breakup of the day.
Mm-hmm.
That is too funny, man. If there's one thing I've ever learned about sales, because I've done sales before. The first time I ever did sales, I was shitty at it. It made me realize that I had to get better. The first step to getting better at sales is realizing why you're sucking at sales. Why you're not selling. And if you can't figure out why you're sucking at selling, you first have to admit it. Acceptance is the key here. So if you can accept that you're shitty at selling, then that's the next step. Then you got to be like, okay, I suck at selling, but I'm not going to give up. I need to learn. So you learn, you listen to some audiobooks, read a few books on selling, understand, maybe look at some of the training material that the sales place may have, whatever it may be, whether you're selling mortgages, whether you're selling toasters, it doesn't matter. And, no, there's always ways to get better at something. It's not just the company you work for. You should be, if you're a good salesman, you should be able to walk into any company, understand what they're selling to some degree, and be able to sell it to people who really need it. As long as they need it. It's all about figuring. You always have to find the right people to sell to, right? You have to find your target audience, that sort of thing. So. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going off into the weeds. I've done sales. When I first started doing selling back in the day, I was awful, the worst. Sucked so bad at it. Learned a little bit more, and then when I worked at JCPenney, that was when I was a great salesman. I could sell people credit cards. I could, upsell. I was somewhat decent. I wasn't perfect, but I was decent, and I was very happy about it. So it's like you get better. You just have to realize that you suck, because clearly you're looking at your numbers and you're like, I'm not selling anything. I'm bad at this. And then once you realize that you're bad at it, you just have to find ways. You have to find people who are actually good at it, model their approach, then you'll learn. Let's keep going.
I remember I was at his house doing blow with him once, and he goes, I want to move to Santo Domingo because they treat you like a fucking person. I'm like, I don't even know. I just started laughing. I was like, I don't even know what that means. But he was so bad at sales. Like, he didn't know any of the programs. He didn't know how to sell anybody on anything. And he would just try to refinance people that lived in, like, boats. He didn't care. But I just started thinking about him because I'm like, the facts were so unimportant to him. Like, if you sat down with him and you showed him, like, you're like, listen, buddy, you've closed no loans. You've made no money. He would spit in your face. Like, he'd be like, you know, fucking, he's like, you think I'm making money here? Because if I was waiting to make money here, I'd be fucking dead. Are you fucking nuts? Nobody can make any money here. The bosses would be like, everyone is making money.
Even the bosses are like, okay, come on. Everybody's selling.
Money. Everybody is making money. But he was just completely unhinged. I mean, he did, and I've told the story before, but he did one of the craziest things ever, where he sat down at a closing and he said the APR, which is the annualized percentage rate, which is the cost of what the mortgage costs you with all the financing included into it. He literally looked somebody straight in the face and went, they go, why is the APR rate higher than the contract rate, the note rate, whatever? And the answer is, well, it's because it includes the cost of financing. So, but instead of saying that, he said, well, honey, that's the average person rate. And you're better than...
Oh. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. What? Oh. Oh. The average person, right? You're much better than average. Oh my God. This Howie guy is the worst.
An average. So we gave you a lower one. And the closing attorney called my company and goes, this guy. They go, this guy is out of control. We can't even. But the amount of times that he would try to refinance a modular home and then find out it's a double wide, because this is the guy that talked big, steakhouses, money, coke. And then he was just trying to refinance homes that people could get in and drive away. And then he would find, because to be a modular home, like you'd hear him on the phone, he's like, yeah, we do modulars. Do you have the modular certification? And then somebody said to him, they're like, what are you, a mobile home specialist? He goes, will you shut the fuck up? I'm on the phone with a client. And he'd be like, do you have the modular paper? Can you please bring me the modular? I mean, but it got me thinking, what we were talking about earlier in the show is like, there are people that you'll meet in life where the statistics, the facts, the real story, what's actually happening, have no interest in it. It's like they feel about reality the way I feel about astrology. I know like a little about it and I don't really care. I see it occasionally in a magazine briefly. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's the way a lot of people feel about reality. That's the way Howie, there was this guy, Mike, Uncle Mike, that used to work there, and he was like the older guy. You got to realize, all of this is a company started by a 24-year-old who used to sell drugs, and his lawyer was like, we can't get you off if you get popped again. You got to sell something else. So he discovered mortgages, and he started making like $90,000 a month because all the guys that got kicked out of stocks went into mortgages. And I was like a young kid, and I went in, and I was just on the phone.
That's pretty funny. I had no idea. So all the people who got kicked out of Wall Street basically went into the mortgage business. That's no wonder there was so much fraud. You took the incompetent ones from like Wall Street, from these big firms, right? And then just kick them off somewhere, and then they're all getting hired at these mortgage loan firms. What the hell? No wonder the 2008 crash happened, man. So much shit. So much garbage.
Getting applications, handing them off, making a few bucks here and there. Part-time college. I hadn't gone full in yet. I hadn't quit college and bought the house and did all that. But I remember going into this office, and there was an older guy who drove a Honda Civic, this guy Mike. And Mike was the guy who owned the company. I don't want to say his name. I don't want to say everybody's name. But the guy who owned the company, his uncle was like the guy that was supposed to be the office manager, the HR guy, human resources. And he was a respectable guy that was lured out of some version of corporate America, but he drove a Civic. So Howie would be like...
My man at least drives a Honda Civic. I'll give him props on that. I appreciate a man who could drive a Honda Civic. Those things are pretty tight.
Howie would just be like Mike would try to talk to Howie about Howie's like behavior in the office, but Howie didn't respect him because he drove a Civic, you know, and he clearly was like didn't have a lot of money. And nobody knew how he had money, but he had some money. So Howie's just like, I've got a guy in a Civic. He goes, I got a homeless guy telling me how to behave in this office. He goes, I mean, I don't understand. He goes, how does this office work? You have a vagrant telling me how to conduct myself in the boardroom. He used to call the office.
You see, true wealth is hidden. The guy who was driving the Honda Civic was in a better position, higher position than this Howie dude, clearly. But yet Howie is all about status in this, clearly. And he doesn't care about substance. He cares about status and perception of significance. So Howie's definitely a perception of significance kind of guy from what I've been able to gauge on this. I hate it when people like live flashy lifestyles and they don't have the fucking capital to back it up. That pisses me off. Like, I don't care if you're rich. More power to you. If you're like billionaire, millionaire rich and you're buying Bugattis or whatever and you can afford it, I say great. That's cool. But if you're a fucking tool who doesn't have any money, who should live below their means but doesn't, gets into massive debt for bullshit like if you're poor and you can't afford a Bugatti, I'm going to look down on you. You want to know why? Because if you I'm going to say this. Hold on. Let me take that back. Let me rephrase that. If you buy a Bugatti and you're poor, I'm going to look down on you. If you don't buy a Bugatti and you're poor, I'm going to look up to you because you can live within your means, right? I look up to people who can live within their means, who can get wealthy without the need to inflate their lifestyle or their ego. That matters. All he did was this guy clearly inflated his ego and his lifestyle and didn't even have the capital to back it up. That I have no respect for. I mean, if you can get the loan and you know that you can make the payments and it's not going to break you, okay, good. Nothing wrong with getting loans, by the way. It's just, I don't know. That just blows my mind. This is levels of incompetence right here. This is the levels of incompetence I talk about all the time on this show.
The boardroom, by the way. I mean, it's like, if anything could have been less of a boardroom, it was this. We gave the guy who delivered, there was a deli called Sujan's where this Asian guy would make sandwiches. He answered, go, hey, Sujan. And you go, hi, Sujan. And I go, hi, can I get cracked pepper, turkey, ham, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, cracked pepper on a Hero, macaroni salad, Nestle Quick. Talk about a lunch that'll take you out of the game. Sujan go, yeah, okay. And then he would send the Spanish guy that we called Eddie. Who knew what his real name was? It was Eddie. So Howie, swear to God, hired Eddie to start calling Spanish leads. Okay? Howie was like, the reason that I'm not making money is I can't speak different languages. Everybody's like, no, the reason is you don't even know what you're saying. You sound like a crazy person. And the only people that will talk to you are people that have like modular. I will say this about Howie. Funnest person, maybe top 3 funnest people I've ever spent any time with. Okay?
At least he's fun. I'll give him props. That he sounds like a nightmare to work with. But honestly, if you're into the coke life, like Howie, I think Tim did some coke if I remember right. He's a fun guy. Great to be around partying, terrible to work with. I've actually met plenty of people like that, actually. Fun people to party with, terrible to work with because they're just bad at their jobs and they make life tough.
I mean, he walked into the Christmas party, coked out of his face. It was like a beautiful catering hall. Not beautiful, but whatever. Long Island. And he goes, he walks in, he looks, he takes a quick look around and goes, oh, good, a shithole. And then just kept walking. Just keeps getting drunk on free booze. He goes, oh, good, a shithole. But he hired this Spanish guy. 3 days later, the Spanish guy starts crying in the office. We're like, Eddie, what's wrong? Howie gets him to quit his job delivering food at Sujan's Deli. Howie gets him to quit his job. He's like, I'm not working. I have no money. Howie don't give me nothing, man. He give me nothing. And so Uncle Mike had to call Howie, and he goes, you can't do this. We never hired this guy. Howie's like, I don't have to run my decisions by you. Mike's like, you absolutely do. You 100% do. You don't know who this guy is. You have him in here calling leads. He's now crying. He's upset. You got him to quit his job. He has no money. He has a daughter. Howie goes, I didn't tell him to have a daughter. He has a daughter. But this is the type of stunts that he would pull. Mm-hmm. This guy was bawling, this poor guy. We went over to him. We're like, we're sorry, man. People are giving him money. Howie's standing outside smoking a cigarette. We're like, your guy you hired is crying. Howie's like, well, whatever works. Is he doing it on the phone, trying to sell leads? We're like, no, he's having a breakdown because you're not paying him. You got him to quit his job. Howie's like, well, smoking cigarettes, well.
No, thought I heard a knock. Oh.
Sociopath.
No, hold on. Hold on, folks. I think I heard a knock. Did I? No, I guess I didn't. All right. All right, let's keep reacting to this video here. And let's keep rolling.
It's crazy. I mean, the guy was bonkers, but so much fun that, it's hard to describe how much fun he was. And a guy like that, you're like, oh, he couldn't even do that much damage to anyone because he could barely sell anything. Right. So, as much as you'd want to blame someone like that for the financial crisis, he's maybe the most innocent person in the building because he didn't sell anything. He was just selling cocaine to people that would have bought cocaine anyway. In that mortgage office, 2 people died of an overdose in the time that I worked there. 2. One of them was a friend of mine who I really liked.
I think honestly, if you were in that mortgage game back in the day, I think that's all you had to do. Was you just did coke, is what it sounded like. I mean, not a fan of that. I am glad I've never touched the stuff. Because I think if I did become a cokehead, I have an addictive personality. I get addicted to things pretty easily. Quitting cigarettes was really tough for me. So I don't know if I can quit cigarettes. I think I can quit anything. But I never want to touch I don't want to touch that white powder. That's disgusting.
He died, and we all went to his funeral. It was fucking crazy. And he died, and then a secretary also died. And the guy who sold my friend the drugs worked in the company. So then he had to leave and go somewhere. It was kind of like wild. It was wild time. I don't know how many of you have worked in that type of environment. Probably not many, but it was fucking crazy, dude. And we start, I still remember that, having to go to the funeral, having to go into work, and, his parents being there, his sister, going into his desk, seeing his desk. It was very, very hard. And this guy was a great guy who died. And it was like sad. It would rip everybody up in the office. It tore everybody up. And the guy that sold him the fucking drug, was in the office. So it was a crazy time to exist in this space. So that guy could never go back because people wanted to kill him. This guy's friends were like, we're going to kill this guy. You shouldn't have sold him that, And
what an environment to work in. I mean, the game of mortgages just sounds like a wild one, if we're going to be honest. Holy smokes, man. Jesus. It's insane.
I mean, of any situation that I've ever worked in, that first company that I did mortgages in was the craziest group of people. Forget comedy for a second. Just let's talk about the real world being out there. The amount of people that were assembled in that office were some of the wildest people and the craziest people. There was a guy in that office. There were so many people in that office. But there was a guy in that office. And I mean, I can't say names, but I wish I could, because these people's names are so perfect and you immediately start to understand who they are if I said their names, but I can't say their names. But there was a guy in the office who was an older guy. He used to wear a button-down shirt with it was down to here, and just his chest hair out. And it was just no, everybody was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And he was this Italian guy. His name was Jim something.
Hold on.
And think of an Italian food dish that you like. Chicken cacciatore. Call him Jim Cacciatore. Same thing. And he would call people up, and he didn't know anything. So every 2 seconds on the phone, he'd have to go, hold on 1 second. And he'd put them on hold, and he'd go, what's the deal with this? And they would go, just get their info and call him back. And then he'd go back on and go, I think the 30-year loan is the best loan for you to take. Well, there's a few reasons for that. Hold on. Why? Why are they taking it? Why are they taking it? So on the other end of the phone, you just would put on hold, put on hold, put on hold, put on hold, because he knew he didn't know anything. He didn't even know what a mortgage was. He had no idea what was going on. And every 2 seconds he'd have to stop and he'd have to ask somebody. And eventually people were like, listen, fucker, just generalize. But I mean, there was a lot of wild people in that office. I will go through them one by one day on a podcast. I tried to pitch a show that was not that office, but another office that I worked in, which was sadder because it was 2009 and the market had crashed. So it was sadder and therefore funnier, the 2009 office. But the office that I worked in 2006, 2005, 2006, was the height of insanity, the height of crazy.
My God, yeah. Oh, dude. Like I said, I couldn't even imagine that sort of environment with... It sounds like you have a level of obviously good salesmen and really shitty ones, right? There's a mixture there. And How do you balance between the two? That's the big question. I don't even know what the answer would be there. But yeah, I mean, any office situation, any sort of type of situation like that, you're going to have levels of, you're going to have incompetent people, you're going to have competent people. Usually balances each other out, I guess. Usually the best salespeople on the floor end up, making the most money, and they do really well. They make the most commish. Speaking of sales, by the way, I am an Amazon associate. So check out the affiliate links in the description below. You get to see all the items that I purchase. It's really cool. It's kind of a surprise. You'll get to see everything I purchase. Everything in the description. What I have in my bathroom. What I have in my bedroom. Ooh. So I am an Amazon associate, by the way, so I do get a small commission for anything that you purchase. Just to let you know, it's at no extra cost to you. I get that small commission, and yeah. And it helps support the channel. So I appreciate it big time if you guys do the honors. I earn from those qualifying purchases. So check out the description. See what I'm purchasing. See what I'm buying. Buy what I have. What do I use as a sponge? Find out. It's in the description. I might use it for other things besides the dishes. Let's keep going.
The height of drugs. The height
Yes.
of it was the height of my drug use. It was when I would take a morphine, like somebody hand me a pill, and I'd be like, what is this? They'd be like, it's morphine. I would take a morphine pill and get into my Oldsmobile 88, which barely worked. Like, I would hit the brakes sometimes and the whole car would stop. And I was on morphine. And I'm like, oh boy. Like, starting it again, getting it going, and then I'd have to continue to drive home. But legitimately, and that's when the coke came back heavy. The coke came back super heavy. And I owed money. One time I owed people thousands of dollars, just cocaine. And I would just sniff a line of cocaine. And then I would just call people on the phone and be like, hey, how are you? This is Tim Dillon with Franklin First. How's everything going? And then I would, try to pitch them and everything and just do more cocaine and more cocaine. It was bad. It got to a point where I was just, I forget where I was.
Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. I just subscribed to them. And I'm going to like this video because that's a good video. Check out this video, though. Tim Dillon Howie on Hindian is the name of this YouTube channel.
At that time, I was living in a windowless basement apartment in Massapequa, Long Island, doing cocaine. And then I moved into another apartment in Long Beach, which I barely lived in. And I was doing cocaine there. It was this, and then I finally bought that house. But the drug regimen was strong. And it was a lot of late nights at that guy Howie's house, just sitting there, listening to him go crazy. Sometimes his coke was better than others. If he was doing it with you, it was okay. If he was selling it to you, it was horrific. And then we'd go out as a company. We'd get in this little limo, this little shitty old limo. I would drive into the city, and then we'd go to these nightclubs. And then, these goons would party, and we'd just dance and drink with chicks and do coke. And then the boss of our company just punched this guy once, so then we all got kicked out. It was just like that type of event. Or we'd go to this place, Mirage, in Long Island.
It does sound, in a certain way, it does sound like a fun time. Like, take out the cocaine. I'm not a fan of heavy drugs. Just not. But I like being wild in public, and I like being a little drunk. I think drinking's fun. Getting sloshed out in public is great. That's like the one fun thing. There's nothing better than getting sloshed in public. Just don't drive. Don't drink and drive, kids. That was a good video. Thank you for the recommendation, Mr. Tim Smith on that one. Hell yeah. What a beast. What a beast. Thank you, Mr. Tim Smith. I appreciate you, G-Dog. Thank you. Hey, I want to give a shout out to everybody. Everybody who's subscribed, everybody who's a channel member. I'll give a shout out to my channel members right now. Make sure you guys check out my boy, Yoggers Farm, Jim from Yoggers Farm. Yoggers. Make sure you guys subscribe to him. He's a channel member. Another channel member we have is Martin. Martin is another channel member. Also, don't forget the first channel member ever, Michael Donaldson. He's our very first channel member. We appreciate him and his patronage. I haven't made any exclusive videos yet, you guys, so I am sorry I did kind of I flopped on that one for sure. I do intend on making some exclusive content, maybe not a ton of it. We'll see. We'll see. I do want to make an exclusive live video. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe just pre-recorded live. Maybe just pre-recorded videos for the fans, so that way maybe some of the people who are members can have a better idea of some of my in-depth philosophies of my overall core investing strategies. I could do maybe more of a webinar format, kind of be a little more, I don't know, one-on-one, I guess, make it feel more one-on-one, maybe more condensed. I think a good condensed video on my overall investing philosophy would be fun. Going over the key points as quickly as I can in a video while making it very coherent and understanding. We'll figure something out, though. But yeah, overall, to get back to the subject matter, even though we were reacting to some Tim Dillon videos, those are great, by the way. Those are fantastic. Getting a look into that world, because Tim was selling mortgages, right? He was selling the loans. So in a weird way, this kind of ties into some form of finance that basically the goal is you need to start selling mortgages, I think, is the thing. Just kidding. But no, like I said, if you just want to have, I think you need everything. I think you need a high yield savings account. I think you need bond ETFs. I think you need stocks. I think you need stock ETFs. I think you need commodities, gold, silver, oil, you name it. Even if you have to get those in an ETF format as well, you do what you got to do. All right. So the whole idea is, instead of saying, I've kind of removed at this point the word "or" from my vocabulary. Clearly it's there in my vocabulary because I still have to use "or" in logical programming. But what I'm saying is, from my decision-making points of view, for my personal life, I instead of saying this or this, I say this and this, right? I want this and this. I want this and that, blah, 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 right? And I think instead of saying I want this or that, I want this and that. Having "and" in there is, first off, it promotes thinking in forms of abundance. Thinking in forms of abundance is really the key. At least in my mind, that's how a lot of it's worked for me. I could be wrong. The results are there. But overall, I think that you should have all of these things. You should have that high yield savings account because it's good to have a little bit of cash sitting to the side that you may need to access. You never know. Things happen. It may be for a good thing or for a bad thing. You should have cash reserves. All the rich people do it, and you could do it even at a smaller scale. You don't have to be rich to have cash reserves. Just saying. I've been doing it my whole life. We're going to be honest. You should be into ETFs. You should be into stock. You should have a brokerage account. If you don't have a brokerage account, you have a 401k. Hey, that's a start. I'm not against 401ks. If you have a 401k, go for it. If you have a Roth IRA, go for it. They're not my bag. I don't like them because of the lack of control, if I'm going to be quite honest. I prefer full control, so I have my brokerage accounts. I got my Charles Schwab. I got my Robinhood. Those are all I need. That's all I want. That's all I need. Anyway, though, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, but I'm glad to actually do a regular live video for you guys, because I know I've been doing those Magic card videos, and I love doing those, by the way. It's fun because I enjoy playing Magic with my buddies, and it's a way for me to kind of show you guys how I play the game. I don't play it very well, to be honest. They kicked my ass. My buddies, I do sometimes end up winning against them, which is really cool. Sometimes I do find a way to win, but most of the time I do. I will admit they're much better at playing. They play more often than I do. I'm I'm a weirdo. I love hanging out with the boys and playing Magic, though. It's honestly one of the better parts of the week And, you know, I dig it. Another good part of the week that I always have to say is like whenever my girlfriend and I, we go get some snacks, maybe at 7-Eleven, and we just go chill out in a parking lot somewhere. That's enjoyable to me. Simple things like that. I'm a simple man. I'm a very simple man. Sit me next to a tree. I'm happy. Give me a nice book in a tree. I'm a happy man. Although I do like doing this shit. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. This shit gets me off. I love technology. I love the world we live in. It's not a bad one. We're living in one thing we don't realize and we take for granted. We really are living in one of the better times to be alive as a human being. The news makes it to where it seems it's like it's not, but honestly, we are living in one of the better times. And I hope more people soon realize that. Hopefully. But I do want to thank you guys for taking the time to view this video. Even live, it's really cool because you guys were all watching this live, and I hope you guys got some value out of it. Just remember, try to remove "or" from your vocabulary. You don't have to choose between high yield savings accounts or bond ETFs. You can have both of those. You can have bond ETFs. You can have a high yield savings account. There's no limit to how many different things you can have. You can have commodities. You can have stocks. You can have bonds. You can have it all. You do have to put some capital down. You have to trade some capital away to get those things. Trade the capital. Trade some of those dollars to get some of those stocks. Trade some of those dollars to get some of those bonds. Trade some of those dollars to get a little bit of commodities. You name it. But there's a lot of opportunities out there. But let's take a look before I end the stream tonight. The live chat was supposed to determine what Tim Smith does for work tomorrow. All right. Should Tim Smith go to the office or work from home tomorrow? 29% of you say work from home. 14% say go to the office. Tim, I would not recommend this third option. In fact, we'll just say work from home one. But unofficially we'll say work from home one. Officially, though, in the poll, naked at Starbucks with a laptop got an astounding 57% of the votes. I'm going to end the poll there. And Tim Smith's comment is revolting. No, just kidding. We're going to read Tim's comment real quick. He said, "This stream is like Caitlin Clark burying a 3 deep inside me." Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Oh, Tim. Tim. Why do you have to do that? It's pretty funny, though. All right, let's see here. Tim Smith says, "I'll show them what a tall and fat latte looks like." Oh, my God. Tim, I do not want to see you in the Canadian newspapers. Here's the thing. I know what the chat said, but you don't have to listen to the chat. Oh, man, that's funny. Don't have to listen to the chat. But I will say, though, it is crazy, though. Naked at Starbucks with laptop won. I don't want to see Tim get arrested. So Tim, just whatever you do not listen to the chat. They're wrong. And make your own decision, but only consider the poll as a North Star, and it's a shitty North Star at that, by the way. It's a very shitty North Star. Do not repeat, do not. I have a feeling if we read the Canadian newspapers tomorrow, we may end up seeing local Canadian Vancouver man naked at Starbucks with an HP laptop. Oh, wait, that's going to be me because I have an HP laptop. Oh, man. Anyway, dude, that's awesome. Oh, but hey, you know what? Sometimes you get it. Maybe Tim could wear like assless chaps. Oh, I just thought of a show idea. Okay. So what I could do, I could walk into like a coffee shop, right? And I could, like, there's like a few local coffee shops around town that I could just walk into. And what I could do is I could just wear assless chaps, right? I could wear like, I don't have assless chaps, but you know, I'm pretty sure I could find some. I don't know. I'd probably have to order them online. But I could maybe order assless chaps and like a crop top, you know, where I'm showing my midriff, but I'm also like wearing assless chaps or something like that, so I could look like it's like you know, drag time story hour or whatever. That's what we're doing here. That's the theme. We're going with that theme, by the way. We're woke on this channel. We're now a woke channel. That's how we live. Tim Smith says Starbucks is about to get a new menu item. 1 pint of pale ale coming up. I don't know why. Okay, so whenever I read like the chats, I tend to sound like one of those really terrible radio announcers, like coming up for. Oh, I sound like one of those overhead announcers, like at 6'5" from, I don't know, Rolo Land 69. Michael Saylor. but no, I like to read it. Like I try to pretend like when I'm reading the chats, I do try to channel my inner Chris Hansen, you know? So like, for example, if I'm reading a Tim Smith chat, let me just pull up a random, I'm going to pull up a random Tim Smith chat here. And I tend to read these chats a little like Chris Hansen. I try to channel my boy. All right. So the chat logs say what Tim Smith says. This stream is like Caitlin Clark burying a 3 deep inside me. I said that's a little too forced. Hold on, let me try to do a better Chris Hansen impression. So it'd be like, and Tim Smith says this stream is like Caitlin Clark burying a 3 deep inside me. That's still not a. I think I'm trying too hard. I'm gonna try hard, you guys. I'm gonna try hard. Starbucks is about to get. I think I have more of a Patrick Bateman sort of tone when I read the chat. So it's like Starbucks is about to get a new menu item. 1 pint of pale ale coming up. Let's see Paul Allen's mocha latte. I want to see Paul Allen schlong. I got a reservation. I'm going to make sure that we go there. I want to sound like Patrick Bateman in everything I do on this channel, because it would be more fun if I perfected this voice and did an entire episode where I talked exactly like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Basically, I'm just trying to sound like Gavin Newsom is what I'm really getting at. I want to sound more like Gavin Newsom, so if I imitate Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, I can sound more like Gavin Newsom is what I'm trying to say. And then I also want to become governor of California, and I want to ruin California. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. We're all on the same page. We're all on the same page. On that note, it's about time for me to go to bed. So I will leave you all with a gift. I have to take off my shirt anyway before I go to bed, but this is the gift that you all deserved. If I could rub my nips with baby oil. But no, I do want to thank you guys for tuning in. You know, keep the man boobs alive. You know, we're a big supporter of the mussy and the man boobs. So I'm getting a little buffer, getting a little tougher. But I do want to thank you guys for viewing the show, and it always seems to end. I always seem to end these shows with my shirt off at some point. And is it good for viewership? Probably. It's what the people want to see. It's what they came here to see. Make sure you guys check out some of the links. By the way, like I said, I'm an Amazon associate. Get a small commission at no cost to you. Help support the channel. Check it out. got a wide range of products that I use that you get to check out. So you get to be more like me. I'm not saying it's a good thing to be more like me, by the way. I tend to have my shirt off and tend to lather myself up in baby oil. It's not a good combo. Not recommended. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to view this video, and stop me up. Oh, stop me up, I'll never stop. You gonna stop me up? Stop me up, I'll never stop. Never gonna give you up. We known each other for so long. My heart's been aching, but you're too shy to see it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. And I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. All right, there we go. It's a Rick Astley impression for the night. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. You guys are the reason I'm monetized. You guys are the reason that the channel is great, because honestly, if I wasn't talking to you guys, I'd probably just be talking to myself. Anyway, later. Here's my white woman coconut water, by the way. Because I'm a white woman, man.